You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today, but we've got Zach in Buffalo.
Hey, man, Zach in Buffalo.
What's up?
Hey, I'm just watching YouTube here, and I just wanted to recommend a watch for somebody.
Okay.
For anybody that's interested, and if you're on this show, you should be interested. So, Matthew Golden actually has a YouTube account, one video on it he posted from this past week. I don't know if you talked about this. I don't know. It's new news to me. But either way, he's got a 45-minute documentary of his entire draft week. Like everything he was doing, and then Randall Cobb makes an appearance at 14 minutes in, and I haven't watched the whole thing. I just paused it to give you guys a call, but I heavily recommend going to YouTube and watching it. It's his account is at Matthew Golden 22, capital M and G. It's the only video that's on there, but it's cool, man. It's like a first-hand account of everything that he went through on the draft. I'm sure the stuff with the Packers is probably going to be towards the end. I'm excited to see, but yeah, man, it's really cool. Like I said, it's funny to see Randall Cobb make an appearance 15 minutes in, too. You know, it brings a smile to your face. But, yeah, man, pumped with the draft. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. I'm sure we enjoyed it a lot more than apparently the Bills fans. And I'm here in Buffalo, and wow, they won't stop complaining.
Oh, really?
It's crazy. It's crazy. But, yeah, man, check it out. Thanks. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I've been so, first of all, yes, I did mention that. I think probably, one day I mentioned it, but would certainly encourage it. The only thing I said is it's kind of like a home video. So, if you're not a part of the family or whatever, sometimes home videos can be a little bit. It's 45 minutes and 20 minutes of it is him getting dressed. I mean, you can fast forward a little bit, but it is an awesome behind the scenes look at the process, what it's like. I mean, it's cool because, these moments are special. I've never seen a behind the scenes look of what it's like. And the fact that it's a home video is kind of even better because it puts you in the headspace of, man, imagine that's you or imagine that's your family member and you're there. I mean, you're flying out and you got the hotel and it's the night before and, he's got his special outfit and everything. And man, we're about to head out to the whatever. And yeah, he heads down to the lobby, and Randall Cobb's there in a sweatshirt and a coffee, just having a little chat. Your phone's blowing up. It's all your friends. It's your other Texas teammates. You got other first-round draft picks hanging around. Maxwell Hairston makes an appearance in everybody's video because he's the most friendly guy in the world. He's dapping everybody up as they go out, giving them a hug when they come back. But it's just one of those. I mean, it's up there with the greatest moments you'll ever have. The birth of your first kid, getting married, all that stuff. I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime amazing experience, and it's cool to be able to see behind the scenes a little bit. Birth of the second and third child and all that. It's all great, I'm just saying. It's usually how the thing goes. You say birth of the first.
Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico.
Yo.
Hey, bro. Getting more excited about our draft class every day.
Yeah.
Our free agents getting excited about all of it. Which is
I'm having a hard time trying to stay focused because it's, usually I don't go this slow through stuff. It's just, here's everything today, here's everything the next day. I'm over here looking at some of these undrafted free agents bro, let's just talk about that. No, stick with it. Next day we do this guy. It's bro, let's talk. And then I want to go back. The guys did the interviews. We should, slow down, buddy. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm chomping at the bit to do more.
Wondering what's wrong with some of the fans and their, Jaden Reed, why they would think Jaden Reed is anything but a big part of our future.
People want him gone now? I would have thought Reed is the only guy that the fans aren't trying to get rid of. I understand Wicks has got a special place in people's hearts, but I mean, obviously he should be in consideration of one of the guys that may not be back. Dobbs, I think, I really like Dobbs, but you have to ask questions because of the incident that took place. You know, they're trying to do the whole locker room thing, and I don't know what happened. I'm just saying, because I don't know, there is the possibility that it was something not great as far as, you know, his attitude toward the team or whatever. Like, I played the devil's advocate for Jair and everybody else, and it's like, no, I don't think that's it. I think everything's fine, and look where we are now. I'm just saying, have to keep an open mind here. Christian, you know, first of all, I think a lot of people are mad at him anyways, but you add in the injuries, I could see it. But Jaden, what did he do wrong? I mean, again, I kind of feel like it's pass-fail for a lot of fans. Either you turn into this vision of what we all thought you could be at your best, or you're a bust, you know? And I think we set maybe too high of expectations, or just don't understand that there is a range that a person can become, and with that range comes a range of how we feel about it. So we understand that there's a range of how they could turn out, but for some reason, there's only pass-fail in our minds, and it's either you know, because everybody kind of has these moments where they're great. Wicks had it, Dobbs had it, Reed had it, Watson had it, and for some fans, it's like, that's now the standard. That is now what you are 24/7. Guess what? You're the dude. You're this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then if you kind of come back down and level off somewhere around good, I don't know. I get, for some people, it's like, that another bust by Goot. You know what I mean? Frickin' guy can't get anything right. I mean, look, I think my subject to change, because we have to see it first, but my current thought on Jaden Reed is that he's a very good role player, but he cannot, it's very reminiscent of Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb was a very good football player. Do you remember that one year where we had so many injuries, we had to put him out wide and try to make him a number one, and he was awful? I'm not saying we tried to put Reed out wide, but the point is, when you lose your speed element, and you don't really have a premier receiver that you can just force feed, when the Packers tried to, with no real help, again, speeds help spread out the defense, so we weren't able to do that. When you try to build a game plan around Jaden Reed, it didn't really work. And when they can just press us up and play man coverage, because we don't have the ability to threaten them when they do that, yeah, Reed struggled. And that was one of the things we needed. We needed a guy that can say, you better not do that. That's going to be a problem. And I think we got a big physical guy that can run through a guy's face, and we got a guy that can run past people. Again, I didn't really see it, but that's theoretically. He's also a very good route runner, and he's got very good hands. So we saw, I mean, what I did see that was more impressive is, number one, his ability to beat people with his routes, and number two, his ability to win the 50-50 balls, which Savion is incredible with. Golden did also quite well, and the body control and all that stuff was also there. But I think what we have are some options to where if you try to do that, we can go somewhere. You can't really do that with Reed. But the point is, if we can bring back the speed element, and if we can just get them to realize that just pressing the line of scrimmage and pressing our receivers isn't going to work, and you get them to start to back off a little bit, that's when Jaden Reed can start to thrive again. But as long as our offense adds no real threat, and they can just mug us up all day, and then the pass rushers can just pin their ears back, because it's a matter of, it's just a matter of time. Because, the problem is, if your pass rushers don't get to Jordan, eventually our guys will get open. But if you can force that ball to come out in, 2.5 to 3 seconds or so with receivers that really can't handle press man coverage, with the routes being all disrupted, they're getting jammed, they're getting pushed off their routes and all this stuff. If you don't have that extended period of time, not to mention, I don't think the Packers in general are really at the point, being very young or whatever, where, like with Rodgers and Jordy, or Rodgers and Cobb or whatever, where you have this mind meld where when the play breaks down, you are beyond screwed. There's a lot of like, I don't know what exactly to do, and I don't know exactly what you're expecting of me, and I'll run over here, and Jordan's like, well, you should have run over there. So that was stupid. So we didn't have the horses to get it done anymore. And yeah, on top of that, I don't think Jordan played very well. A lot of things really started to spiral, but I don't understand. I guess I don't need to understand. It's just there's a whole lot of just whining going on. I guess I do understand that.
I mean, I was just like doing a little comparison between Jaden Reed and Puka Nacua. They're, in the league same year. Puka Nacua, of course, wasn't quite as high a draft pick as Jaden Reed, but honestly, he hasn't been as productive as Jaden Reed. So if you think the Rams are thinking about dumping Puka Nacua, he had some injuries last year. Oh my God, he's injury prone. Let's get rid of him. He's a beast. He's a turd. Why are fans so expectant of guys to be something other than what they can be? Jaden Reed is a beast. He's a monster. Just because he didn't maybe outperform his rookie year means he's done, or I don't know, it's just dumb. Just dumb. Anyways, Watson, yeah, he'll be back. Stronger, better. Things happen. Hurt his knee. Everybody hurts their knee. I've hurt my knee multiple times. I've had multiple surgeries. I don't even play football. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy. Yeah, is he injury prone? I don't know. We'll find out. But, he's been injury prone, but they got all that stuff worked out, I think. And then he blew his knee out, which was unrelated, in my opinion, at least, to the other stuff. But people blow their knee out, and they come back better than ever. So, settle the freak down and let the guy heal up and come back and be a bad mother. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I don't know. Beast to me might be a slight exaggeration, but I do think he improves as things around him improve, as Jordan improves, as the offense is more reliant on hopefully Matthew Golden a little bit. And boy, would it be great if Christian Watson was back. I know we're not going to really see that until the end of the year, and then at that point I can't really expect a ton from him. History is not super great on guys that miss the entire year and then pop in and, you just expect them to just pick up where they left us. Just not usually how that goes. First of all, he hasn't played in forever. Second of all, he's basically playing like week one when everybody's trying to figure it out, and the rest of the NFL is playoff form. But, I hate to say next year, but really assuming everything is the way that it is and everybody's healthy, that should be the full realization of his potential. Depending on what Matthew Golden can do in year one, Savion Williams can do in year one, and the speed element that Matthew Golden brings, which hopefully is there. But even if you just look at what he did, Jaden Reed being one of 3 to 4 guys, 903 yards and 6 touchdowns, is really not a bad year. He didn't crack 1,000. 23 guys did crack 1,000, so he's not in that group, but 903 and 6 touchdowns, and he really didn't get on the field all that much, if we're being completely honest. If you look at let's look at his routes run. And that's the thing in Green Bay, you expect these big things, but Jaden Reed ran the most routes of any Green Bay Packers wide receiver. He ranked 65th in routes run. Now, part of that is we ran the ball at a high rate in the NFL, but also we just had a lot of different guys running a lot of different packages. If we compare his routes run to, let's see, Amari Cooper ran 10 more routes in 1 less game. Deebo Samuel ran, 12 more in 3 less games. Lazard ran 13 more routes in 6 less games. So that's what happens when you just are on the field running routes every single time, and we throw the ball a ton, and there you go. So you could look at it, and if I were to find a comp that I thought was fair, you could say Jordan Addison of the Minnesota Vikings, who's a number 2 guy. I think is a legit number 2. I think that's fair to call Jordan Addison a number 2. Vikings fans probably think he's better than he is. Packers fans think Jaden Reed is worse than he is. Some Packer fans, Uncle Rico, you might be on the slightly better side. But you could look at it and say, well, yeah, but Jordan Addison played 2 less games. I mean, they had 903 compared to 904 yards. Jordan Addison had 3 more touchdowns in 2 less games. Yeah, he had 140 more routes run in 2 less games. 140 more routes, and he played 2 less games. By the way, if you haven't picked up on it yet, this is exactly why yards per route run comes into play. And if you start looking at yards per route run, Christian Watson ranks 14th, Jaden Reed ranks 18th. Even Romeo is 53rd, which would be kind of like a high-end number 2. So really, if you're looking at it from a production standpoint, the reason yards per route run works is because if I just apply the production that you had on a per route basis to somebody else, like who's the closest to Christian Watson that played in 18 games would be Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had 1,400 yards on the season. Or if we just look from a routes run stamp, because some of these guys played in 18 games and were out there like for 4 seconds. But like close to Jaden Reed would be Zay Flowers, and he ran 470 routes, which is relatively high. That's pretty standard starter routes. It was 1,060 yards he had. And he had 4 touchdowns. Jaden Reed had 6 already. A lot of the actual high-end starters are well beyond 500 routes run. And yeah, if you take Jaden Reed and just give him 500 routes, it's 1,100 yards. Christian Watson would be 1,131 yards. So, I mean, and this goes to Christian Watson's dad's point of the problem isn't the receivers, the problem is they're not being given opportunities. Now, I don't necessarily see that from a Jordan Love struggling to pass standpoint, like they can't get into a rhythm. That part of the argument I don't get. But just mathematically, yeah, if you ramp up the amount of opportunities, obviously you're going to get more production. Now, it's possible the yards per route run goes down, that maybe the production is as high as it is because they don't do it as much. It's the threat of the run game or whatever. I don't really know. We don't need to go that far down into the weeds. But yeah, I mean, again, yards per route run is obviously, for the sake of common sense, a very good metric. And you have 14th and 18th ranked receivers in Christian Watson and Jaden Reed. So if there's 2 guys you don't want to give up on, those would be the 2 I would choose from, with, I think, Romeo proving to be a very good number 2. He ran 379 routes. He only played in 14 games and was also limited for the same reason everybody else was limited. So even he is not being given, let's do Romeo here. It's obviously not going to be as good. He had 1.62. Generally, preferably you're above 2, which Jaden Reed 2.2, Christian Watson 2.26. Both of those are impressive. Only one guy was above 3, and it's your boy Puka Nacua. So Puka Nacua played 13 games is the reason why his production wasn't quite as although he had 1,100 yards in 13 games. Puka Nacua is a freak. But we don't need to compare to Puka Nacua to get to the point of saying that Jaden Reed and Christian Watson have some serious potential. But we got to get the offense working is the bottom line. 18 minutes already. All right, let's take a break. We got a lot of Nico coming up.
Hey, Ryan, this is Nico, sitting on the balcony in the evening, listening to some of the podcasts. And Clayton and the boys are talking about Savion Williams. So I just searched Savion Williams highlights, and I found one that's about 16.02 seconds long, and it's just every target and touch in 2024.
Sure.
Great video. And I'm about 8.5 minutes through it already. But I gotta say, I know, yes, he's had some drops. There was one, I think it was assuming that the touches were from literally the first game on to the last. Like the first game, he had 3 drops in a row.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like Clemson or what. I went through and made his highlight video, and I watched a bunch of his games. And yeah, it was like, I don't know how he has such a high drop rate, because he's got some phenomenal hands. And in that game, it was like drop. It was like, wow, this is ugly. So I get it now where the hands issue comes from. But it is really weird to have such an unbelievably high, like 50-50 ball catch rate, some beautiful catches on some really tough balls, and then just some stupid, terrible concentration. I mean, what percentage was from that 3-play series? I'm not sure, but that was rough.
And you could tell they were like, he was trying to turn around and I got left a doggy out of here. But you could tell he was trying to catch the ball and then run, turn and run, and that's what some receivers do. It was also the first game of the year, so maybe he wasn't all ready yet. But I'm still very impressed. I will say that the quarterback that was thrown to him was complete garbage. Like, the Bears should look into drafting him whenever he's available, because he would fit right in with their, subpar talent QBs. I mean, so many things that probably 2/3 of the pass drops, other than those like 3 that were right in a row, were like, he had just kind of like that really good reception he had in the end zone where he twisted back to the right.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of those passes he couldn't catch because that's hard to do. But the dude is a freak. I can imagine. I know you were kind of off the direct snap stuff, but he's so twitchy and good. I mean, plenty of times he would catch the ball, and the second his feet hit the ground, he would cut because he knew there was a guy coming. So the dude he's a freak, man. I tell you what. And hopefully we have a slightly better QB now, that's going to throw the ball. I don't know. We'll see. I know some people are freaking out like he's a Christian Watson replacement. I don't think that's a problem. I think the Packers love Christian. They want to keep him. Maybe this little injury helps us not have to give him $50 million a year next year. But I don't know.
I honestly think that's more or less what it is. I mean, it's, the concern is, well, we can't pay them all. Well, you can if you're not going to pay any of them a lot of money. And none of them earn big paychecks, which is unfortunate for them, and they got to navigate that. It's probably going to be a process of Packers are going to come in and say, here's what we can offer. They're going to be pissed, want to explore their options, find out that there are no better options, and, some may stay, some may go. I don't know. I'm guessing they would end up. Well, I guess I don't know that either. If the rookies really pan out, then they may be looking to lowball 1 or 2 of them, if even offer to some, and allow them to go get the better offer somewhere else. But that's essentially the situation we're in. Is we may end up just getting a fantastic deal on a guy like Christian Watson, who, if he was healthy this entire time, very realistically could end up being given a massive contract. But because he hasn't been, he's definitely not getting one, which is unfortunate for him. It's to our benefit, and it might end up being kind of a shorter contract where he can bet on himself, or he may be scared. It's kind of like the Jordan Love thing where you're not really sure do you want to bet on yourself, or do you want to kind of take the pile of money? And they found kind of a middle ground area there. But for Christian, do you take the 1-year low contract and say, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to ball out, especially with the other receiver competition that you have? Or do you take a longer, whatever they're willing to offer you, and just say, hey, if I get injured over the next year or 2, I might be out of the league. And if I take a 1-year contract, this might be it for me. So if I can get a, somewhat life-changing contract, because, even if it's, I don't know, over the course, let's say it's a 3-year contract that comes with a relatively sizable signing bonus, plus you're going to get probably paid in your first year. So you take the signing bonus plus your first year salary, which is going to be pretty low, but let's say it's 17, 18 million, just making up numbers here. But I mean, that's in NFL standards, it's not much, but in just real life standards, that's obviously life-changing. And it's going to be hard to turn that down to bet on yourself. But yeah, that's essentially where we're at, is we're just going to get cheap receivers until this thing sorts itself out.
He can be a weapon, and hey, it's preseason. Everyone's the best, right? So we gotta do that too. So go Pick.
Yeah, is there a Nico part 2?
All right, had to call back. So there was a couple plays where he took a direct snap, dropped the ball, picked it up, and still caught like 30 yards, cut through it. I don't know if I've ever seen a big guy be able to cut like this.
Oh, it's incredible.
He literally cuts like he's 5'2", you know?
Yeah, his agility is out of control for his size. It really is surprising. I mean, the speed is much faster than you'd expect for his size and his agility. You kind of forget that he's as big as he is because he plays more like you would expect a Matthew Golden type of guy to play. In fact, if you swapped them, it would kind of make a little bit more sense. But it's why I'm so high on him. But also, in the back of my mind, it's like, this is Cordero Patterson. It's not going to work. You know, he's going to be kind of a gadget guy and blah blah blah. You know, I'm trying to fight those voices in my head, but very hopeful that he can really refine whatever it is they need him to refine to be able to play on the outside because he's got such a unique skill set.
Because like Tyreek Hill, he's just so close to the ground. He's
right.
Like his center of his center of gravity is so low because he's so tiny. He can just go any which direction. The dude, it's just amazing. And I was gonna say something, and I just totally forgot.
It happens.
Yeah, I think this kid. Whew. I hope they do run him the ball a little. I think he'd be really good for quick wide receiver screens. They just showed one where he took one and had three blockers and just. Also, he seems to be able to do a spin move, but at max speed. I don't know if I've ever seen someone do a spin move while they're running full blast and then
highlight real
maintain
play.
his feet. But dude, I know he was on the freaks list. That's, I mean, when I was younger, I couldn't do that. I really can't do it now. I could fall down at full speed.
Mm-hmm.
But
did that at
they just showed two. That's why I call back because he was running full speed and he literally spun while running at full gait. Like that's an athletic freak. So I just pray that LaFleur can use him. I think it will be gimmicky at first because that's what he did with Christian. Remember his first touchdown was a jet sweep or something. Or like the inside handoff when he's running past, the center. I know he'll do that with Savion. But I think he's got some definite, cutting chops over Watson. Obviously Watson has a little more height, a little more speed sort of. But I'm all excited to hate preseason or to hate OTAs. I love them when the first day or two. Then I get bored because it's just guys in pajamas. But anyways, go Pecco.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to him doing that. I'm actually excited about him doing all that stuff. I understand that if he doesn't become a receiver, I don't know that there's a scenario that I'm aware of where guys are predominantly gimmicky and yet are seen as successful receivers. I know a lot of people have mentioned Percy Harvin. I'm going to have to go back and kind of revisit Percy a little bit because I know he was much more gimmicky. And Debo, you could fit into that role as well as kind of a hybrid type of a guy where he's certainly gimmicky, but also obviously everybody would acknowledge he's just a good receiver. So maybe you could put him in that camp kind of thing. But no, I'm excited, and I agree. I think early on you focus on what he does well, and early on I think it's going to be special teams. Hopefully he can handle kick and punt return type stuff because he has that skill set, being a bigger physical guy that also is really good with the ball in his hands, and then doing a lot of jet sweep, end around, maybe direct snap. I don't know, or two backfield kind of stuff, which you have him in the backfield where you can hand it off to him, or you could have him run a route. Obviously, would be pretty lethal considering he's a freaking wide receiver. So I'm real excited to see, him with Matt LaFleur. Sorry about clearing my throat every second. I don't know what the problem is here. But, Matt LaFleur is a creative guy that wants to be creative, and he needs guys that can do creative stuff in order for him to be able to bring it to life. So I'm all for it. But he has the ability to be an incredible receiver if he can reach his full potential. And if he doesn't reach that potential, his probability of really disappointing everybody ends up being pretty high. So I guess that's just what making me nervous. But I do admit, early on, it's probably going to be a lot of that stuff. Although, I'm going to allow myself to get a little excited early on, and it's kind of innocent until proven guilty, or in this case, good until proven bad. The whole Christian Watson thing was, he's got a lot of speed and whatnot, but, we got to work on his route running. He went to a small school. It's going to take some time, and then just day one was like, if the guy could have caught it, it just would have been off and running. And then by the time Rodgers is like, fine, let's give him another shot, he has 70 touchdowns against Dallas and is this freak receiver and everything. So I'm going to just choose to believe he's going to be fantastic until the day that I have to acknowledge he's not so much.
All right, it's Nico again. So apparently it wasn't done.
Okay.
Because I found a video where they're talking about Golden. I said, yeah, check that one guy. Let's check out the other guy,
Yep.
This one, it's got Steve Smith.
Yep, saw that.
The receiver, I think this is Carolina, And then some guy named James Palmer. No idea who they are. The video's about 27 minutes long. And Steve Smith, I don't know if you remember him.
Yes.
I always liked him, A lot of people didn't get to see him play a lot because he played for a crappy team. But
definitely, you couldn't not like Steve Smith. I mean, his whole thing was he's this tiny guy that plays like he's Megatron and will beat the living crap out of anybody that gets in his face. Like, he was one of the more hardcore. Back when football was a little bit more hardcore, especially in Baltimore, he was a real hardcore wide receiver.
He's one of those dudes where you just couldn't help but like him watching him play.
Exactly.
He was a little dude and he was tough as nails. Just always liked Steve Smith.
Yeah.
He was a baller. And so they're talking about Golden, and they both kind of said that they kind of thought he was a system dude, until they watched all the tape again.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry about that, sir.
Well, it's funny, too, because, and I did mention this as well, the thing that annoyed me about the video is Steve Smith says he's his favorite, like he's the best receiver in the class, but when you listen to him, I don't know if it's because he's a Hall of Fame receiver and he doesn't want to like gush over anybody because he's still got that kind of like I'm better than everybody mentality, or just that it's a weak receiver class. I don't know what the reason was, but he just always seemed like he was my favorite receiver in this class, but whatever. Just I don't know. It just felt annoying to me, but. No, I felt somewhat vindicated because I had the same process. I watched him the first time. I'm like, I don't get it at all. Like, I don't see it. He's not that good. And then you go back and watch him again, and it was like, oh, okay, I get it now.
And I tell you what, I'm excited about this guy too now. If you can really actually see his speed. One of the problems is once again the quarterback.
It is
showed a
lot of
underthrows. He was running
underthrows.
by. He just ran right by the corner, and had it been like a who was really good at throwing bombs? Russell Wilson. He was really good at throwing the deep ball in his prime. If he'd been the quarterback, dude would have caught the ball with 10-yard separation. But he had like 3-yard separation. He had to come back and get it. There was 2 plays like that. Another thing is, they both talked about how he does. They don't feel like he looks like he plays at 2'9". But some people look faster and some people look slower. I think he's just so smooth. Like I used to watch a lot of golf back in the day, and I remember when you go to play against sports, they'd have one of those things that could measure your golf club head speed. And I was in my early 20s, and I would rip it as hard as I could, and it would be like 129. Because I know the pros are like 150. I'm like, how do they do it? And like Fred Couples, he's an older dude. You got to be my age, He had the smoothest swing in the world. It was like poetry in motion. And the dude had like 140 mile an hour club head speed, and I don't know how he did it because it didn't look like he was even trying. I think that's kind of,
We'll get to part 4 here in a second, but I've heard all the kind of explaining it away kind of things, the underthrown balls and all that. The problem that I had is I'm looking for a very specific and simple thing. When he's in man coverage, can you run past somebody? And I never saw it. I've seen the instances of him getting behind people, but it was in zone coverage. That's where you're catching guys flat-footed and you run past them. It's hard when you're standing still to turn and then catch up to a guy in full stride. When I saw, I want to see him run a go route in man coverage and run past a guy. I've never seen it. I've watched entire games of his and again, some people said when he was playing at Houston, I think it was Houston, you saw it more. So that, I don't know, but like I said, I've seen it with Watson. I remember watching week 1 of Watson, and he sailed past everyone. Like every single time, you could just see it. The distance slowly increase. And I remember thinking, this guy is an absolute freak. I don't know why the ball's not going to him, but good Lord, this guy's going to be something special. I watched every game that I had of Matthew Golden. Obviously, most times he's not running go routes, but any opportunity I could to try to gauge his speed, I never at any point saw elite speed. The closest thing you can get to it is, again, when you have these sort of zone, flat-footed corner safety situations. And even then, when anytime he catches the ball, does he run away from people like Christian did, where he'd catch a ball and even with people taking angles, he outruns them? You saw it in the Steve Smith tape. They talked about that, where they're like, shouldn't he have gotten away from them here? They caught up to him from behind. So it's an open invitation. It's an open challenge to anyone that can find me a video clip of Matthew Golden in man coverage running a go route and getting past somebody. I mean, he's been NFL open, which is basically shoulder-to-shoulder coverage, but he's got about a quarter of a step past the guy, so if the ball's thrown perfectly and to the outside, only the receiver can catch it, that's fine, but Romeo Doubs can do that. Dontavian Wicks can do it. Devontae did that all the time. Devontae's a 4'5" guy. If you're 4'2'9", you should look at Tyreek Hill. Nobody even would dare to play him in press man coverage because he's going to frickin' zoom past you. That's why everybody played 10 yards off of him. So I don't see 4.29. I don't even see 4.39. Whatever Romeo Doubs ran, that's about what I see with Matthew Golden. So that's sort of the problem that I have with the speed thing. Now, again, it's got to be there somewhere. I guess it doesn't have to be. I don't know. I don't know if you can take that and translate it to a football game, because he did it in shorts and a t-shirt in a track stance, running straight with no defenders, which is very different than how it works in the NFL with pads, with defenders on a football field, standing straight up, whatever. Can they get that out of him on a football field? I don't know. I'm hopeful. But in the meantime, I'm going to assume he doesn't have fast NFL football speed and that he's just a good route runner. He's got good hands and he's got adequate speed. And if he happens to have elite speed, then this just became 10 times better. But in the meantime, he's just a good receiver. Again, open challenge, open invitation, if you can find that.
I think that's kind of one of Golden's problems. He's just so smooth, so it doesn't look like he's running that fast, It's kind of funny because he is sort of the direct opposite of Williams.
Well, and that's what you're describing is similar to Watson. It's usually the long-legged guys because their legs are kind of moving so slow and it's just a long stride. It doesn't look that fast, but yet he's creating separation. Whereas the short guys, Darren Sproles or Tyreek Hill, their feet move a mile a minute to go that fast. It looks fast, right? Even if they're not super fast, sometimes they look super fast because their legs are kicking a mile a minute. But yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
He looks like he's flying. He's like an earthquake running. It's like his whole body looks like he's moving fast. Golden's kind of like, he looks like he's barely trying. But you can see his speed. Like I say, if it wasn't for his quarterback, I think we would have seen it even more. And there was quite a few plays where he would catch the ball and do quick twitchy things and get around people.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, I don't expect Williams to, be the number 2 guy like he was with his, college team. But obviously with Christian being out the first part of the season, he's Golden gonna start.
Oh yeah.
And unless he does something horrible, blows his leg, or just absolutely sucks. But man, I'm just stoked for this dude too. So I can't wait. So hey man, hey, go Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean I'm desperate for somebody to find it because all I need is to see it one time. Because if you can do it one time, then you can do it, right? That's it. But if there are 0 instances, then there are serious questions about, in my mind, whether or not you can do it. And then, of course, I'm going to be a little bit of a douche and follow it up with, okay, how fast is that corner? Because if it's a 4.65 corner, then it's like, well, I appreciate you finding it, but I still have a couple questions. But yeah, I mean, and that's the other problem. These are not NFL corners either, so there should be several instances of going up against some pretty slow corners that you're just flying by. But that is the chance. And again, until then, I'm still excited about him. I still like, again, when I went back and watched him, speed was never. And when I went back the second time and watched him and liked him, that was before the combine, before sort of the 4.29 thing, and that's where it was really like, holy crap, this guy's really awesome. And then you go watch him a third time, and it's like, where is that speed? I don't understand. And then you start disliking him, and it's like, well, don't like him less than when you liked him before, because you set these higher expectations that they don't meet. So, again, I have set the expectations exactly where they are, and if he demonstrates the speed, then this is a much better pick than I would have thought. But if he doesn't, I'm still going to be satisfied because he still has the potential to be a good receiver. Why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We got some beer, cheese, Benny.
Ryan, it's Beer Cheese Benny again.
Yo.
We're talking about all this receiver stuff, and I've found out that while we've been talking about this, we failed to mention that we have Mecole Hardman. Are you kidding me?
He definitely has been pushed to the back, and there's questions at this point of whether he's going to make the team, especially with Savion Williams being brought in. You got Matthew Golden, so if you like him for his speed, well, now we have Golden. If you like him for what he can do behind the line of scrimmage, not only do you have Reed, but you have Savion Williams who's going to be taking that. If you like his special teams, again, Golden, Williams, they both bring special teams. I honestly don't know if he's going to make the roster or not, and if he does, he is the last man on the totem pole.
What is going on here, man? We're not going to talk about him? Unless, I don't know. Maybe the plan is he's the punt returner, because he did that a lot at Kansas City, that's pretty much what he did.
Yeah.
But we failed to recognize that he could...
And that honestly is his best path is, if he's a very good punt returner, Savion can't do it. Golden probably can, but he's a first-round pick, and we don't want to screw with that. That's the path for me. And obviously it would be nice if you can do some other stuff, even just gadgety stuff on offense, or, speed, cool, if you are maybe our best speed option too. You have to provide something better than somebody else on the team. And at this point, I'm struggling to see what that is. But we'll have to see. I mean, unfortunately, if Mecole Hardman is a big part of our offense, it probably means our rookies are really not producing in year one very well.
Be a huge part of the offense, And so, you have him to stretch the field and Golden, like we hope. We just have a lot of options, man. LaFleur is going to cook this year. And you know what, dude? I think the biggest downfall last year was our offense. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that we addressed the offense in the draft. A lot of people complain about the defense, but the defense was a large part of why we won most games. Because the offense didn't have to do much, and the defense held the offenses that we played at bay. So, and granted, we were scoring like 30 plus at a good stretch, but, against certain better teams, we kind of struggled to do so. So, I like the way the direction of the Packers of what they're doing, man. Also, dude, I've been trying to find, all these other teams, they post, the phone calls that they have with the draft, the guys that they drafted, and, the Packers are just not having it. Obviously...
Packers really hate posting anything that is involved with their draft room. They really don't do that at all. And it kind of sucks for us, but we know how they are. They don't No recording during the training camp stuff. No, they're very, very secretive. They are one of the few, like there's no leaks in the off season. Most of the free agency leaks are fake. And then when it comes to the draft, there are just zero leaks coming out. They're just unbelievably protective.
So you see Matthew Golden on the phone, but you don't hear the conversation. Like, I want to hear the conversation with all the guys. I don't care. I don't care if he's a freaking 7th rounder. Like, I saw the Steelers, like, who drafted Will Howard, like they got a video from his family, and, like, they posted it, like, on him getting drafted and his whole family celebrating. Like, I want to see that kind of stuff, man. But I want to hear the phone call. And I just don't know why, like, you never hear it from the Packers, I swear. You never. I mean, I remember Rashawn Gary, but even then, you didn't hear what they were saying.
Right. You just saw him
crying.
crying.
I better start seeing those videos soon.
Won't.
See ya.
You won't. They won't do it. They don't want to do it. I know the media team is obviously working on that. They've really upgraded their media team and the content that's come out of there. Perfect timing for the draft. They put out some really good stuff. But obviously the team has got some restrictions, and that's pretty much the end of it. They're not going to participate in stuff that they don't have to. They're really going to be in hell if there's ever a Hard Knocks off season that they force the Packers to do. That's just going to put them straight in hell.
Ryan, what's up, buddy?
What's up?
Kyle from Madison. How are you doing?
Good.
You're talking about, how incredible it is that Sorrell was just chilling in the green room, like the last guy. And it is. It's crazy that he was there and then the Packers took him and they didn't even know it. I mean, the whole story, I want the best for this guy. I like a good plot, but also he seems like the kind of guy that you want going to war with you,
Sure.
But I'll tell you what, some people online, are saying like, why is he there? What is he thinking? I'll tell you what, if I had an agent and they were like, Kyle, we think there's a chance you might go, in the 7th round or whatever. Now, at 46 years old, I feel like it's possible that this opportunity has passed me by. I don't want to, limit myself though. So we'll leave it as a possibility. But you better believe I would show up. I would show up wherever the draft was. If for no other reason is I bet you get really good swag. There's got to be good swag in the green room. And then if I get picked, I'm going full Price is Right, just hysterical screaming, running to the microphone. So I appreciate Mr. Sorrell and his, effort. I'm going to the draft. I can both relate and appreciate his choice there. And so I'm glad it paid off for him in such a dramatic way. Just an awesome story, and it's going to be great to watch, and I hope he succeeds. So we'll talk to you later. Go Pack, go.
Well, I think the confusion, at least for me, is there's just a handful of people that they think could go in the first round that are invited. He's a 3rd-round pick, a day 3 pick. So, again, why is he there? I mean, there's a reason why that never happens. If it was open to anybody that wanted to come, I would assume everybody or a lot of people would be there. So I think that's the confusion, at least for me, and I still don't have an answer to that. Why was he there? And if you can just show up, then again, why don't a ton of people show up? 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round. I mean, usually they invite the first rounders, and if you're there on the 2nd day, it's like embarrassing. Like, ooh, you didn't go first round. Are you going to stick around for day 2? And it's like, oh, he not only stuck around for day 2, he stuck around for day 3 in the 4th round. It's like, but why was he even invited? I don't understand, and I still don't have an answer for that. And, I think there's some people that think that he just kind of invited himself, but because he made some kind of a comment about, I just wanted to check out the draft and see what it was about or whatever, like almost like I was just in town and then I just went to the green room. But Gutekunst made a comment about we were surprised he was there and we shouldn't have been because he was on the list. Why was he on the list? And when the list was released, I mean, people were shocked about like certain quarterbacks or whatever. Nobody said Barron Sorrell. Why is Barron Sorrell on the list? So the whole thing just, I don't understand any of it at all. So yeah, I still have that question. Why was he there? I don't know why he was there. Why he would want to be there, I understand that. Why was he there, though? Maybe a better question, just to kind of encompass all of it, is why is this the first time we've ever seen a guy in studio on day 3? I feel like that question encompasses, answer that, and all questions are answered.
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama.
Yo.
I hate to admit this, but after 3 years of listening to you, I finally actually heard the word, like, just 2 days ago, that you say fanalist with an F and not panelist with a P. Now, panelist with a P always made some sense to me. I mean, you do Packer podcasts, and there's plenty of Packer podcasters, so you're on the panel. And then, for some reason, 2 days ago, I heard you, the true word, fanalist with an F, and that makes perfect sense for your show. So, after 3 years, I now actually heard that word correctly, and I must admit, my wife is right. I guess I don't listen. So, on a different subject, Jair, and maybe people are getting tired of the Jair, but I don't put the Jair thing anywhere even in the same stratosphere of the Brett Favre drama and the Aaron Rodgers drama, where they were him and Han and possible trades or any of that other kind of stuff. Jair, I mean, from everything I've seen, it's handled this fine. He just is what he is. He said whatever he said to the Packers in the closing thing. He, a little bit tight at the end of year conference. Other than that, welcomes people to the team. Calls into the virtual thing, blah blah blah. And
honestly, it sounds like a lot of this stuff. I think all of us are having a hard time kind of understanding what exactly is happening, because the interpretations are all over the place. I haven't talked. Maybe I have to talk about it tomorrow, but there was a report that came out, and people seem to be interpreting it very differently than I am. But there was a report about the fact that the Packers said that there needs to be an understanding on a contract before he can attend in person. So he's not there in person. And I think the assumption would be he chose not to show up. I don't think he's invited. I think that the situation right now is we don't want you here unless and until we have this contract situation figured out. At least that's the way it sounded to me. There was an agreement, agreement goes both ways, and it might be more heavily one way than the other. I don't really know. But between Jair's, and that's the thing, it's going to come down to Jair's agent a lot more than anything else. But between Jair's agent and the team, that Jair is not going to show up. At the very least, again, the team is in agreement of this. Even if Jair was the one that didn't want to show up, I don't know. It's not the case that he is unilaterally decided to disobey the team. It was agreed upon, and if I had to guess, the team is asking him to not come, probably because they know he would, if I had to guess. Because again, he is choosing to participate in things that he can participate in. I think usually in these situations, you don't need to agree on anything. The guy's just like, it's just kind of understood. I'm not going to participate until we get this figured out. But Jair, it seems to be a little different, where he's like, no, I don't know, dude. You said I'm supposed to be here. I got an email. said mandatory, so I thought I had to be here.
Hey, I still will welcome Jair back and hope he plays, more than 60-70% of the games. Sign him to a contract, re-sign the contract, put some incentive, drop the thing down to 10-11 million, give him incentives where it's just playing time, where if he's active on game day, he makes $500,000 or whatever per game, where if he played all 17 games, he makes even a little bit more than the 17 million. If he doesn't, he doesn't. And then probably, I don't like it, but I probably would go ahead and just void the last year of his contract, basically saying, hey, let's make this marriage a one-year deal. At the end of the year, if everything's great, we can reassess. And if it's kind of in the same place, we got 1 year out of you, and go ahead and seek your fortune elsewhere, kind of thing. That was it. Thank you, Ryan. Bye.
And that's I think that's the part that Jair is not being receptive to. I think that you're willing to stay if you can restructure. And I don't know if the Packers are even interested in that. I think up to this point, and maybe now they would be willing to change their tune, but up to this point, I don't think they've even been interested in having that conversation necessarily. But even if they had changed their tune and they're like, okay, let's do it, supposedly Jair and his camp have said, no, we're not doing that. We're not having that discussion. And I forget who it was that reported on it, but the point was, I think from Jair's standpoint, we'd rather just be released so that we can just go find a team that wants us and can work out our own contract terms with them. And, maybe that is in the Packers' best interest, sort of like what happens in free agency where you say, okay, go out, see what people are willing to offer you and come back to us. Before we release you. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to cut you and then hope that you come back to us, although that would be hilarious. But yeah, the new report on Jair was from, I think, Albert Breer. But I forget what he said at first, but the first part was the most substantive part. The second part is what everybody honed in on. And I did talk about it because I remember saying I don't know how the two pieces connect. Because he basically, I think that was it. He talked about how Jair would like to be released the most, and then he ends by saying he believes the most likely is that he comes back on a restructured contract. The point is, I mean, that was just speculation on his part, which is no better than anybody else's speculation. What I care about is details that he's hearing that I am not privy to. But anyways, I'm going to leave y'all with that. We've got 5 calls left, so that's not enough for another show. So if you'd like to do this tomorrow, get your calls in. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.